It looked bleak. The Cavs looked dead. It looked like we were headed for catastrophe, but a second half flip of the script. The Cavaliers come from down 18 to winning by 12, advancing past the Orlando Magic 4-3 in an all-time classic first-round matchup in the NBA playoffs. I was in Boston this morning. I am now in Cleveland. I was at the game, and we're going to break it all down. Coming up right now on the Ultimate Cavaliers Show. Oh my goodness. I mean, we talk about what you expect and what you hope for and what you want in a game 7. And today, the Cavs and the Magic delivered it all. It was a roller coaster of emotions for both teams. Orlando obviously comes out hot. They get out to a giant first half lead. They were up 18 points in the second quarter. The Cavs looked flat. They looked lifeless. They started the second quarter with a lineup of Darius Garland, Sam Merrill, Karis LeVert, George Niang, and Tristan Thompson. And I was like, okay, JB's just waving the white flag at this point. It's over. Like, that's not a real postseason lineup in a must-win game. And then the Sam Merrill minutes sparked a little bit of offense. Sam Merrill contributed 8 first-half points. He hit 2 threes, got the crowd going. And after being down 18, the Cavs cut it to a 10-point halftime deficit. In the second half, talk about flipping the script. The Cavs outscored the Magic 33-15 in the third quarter, led by Donovan Mitchell. We talked about him after Game 6. We've talked about him all series, all season, his entire tenure in Cleveland. This guy is an absolute freaking warrior. He puts up 50 in the Game 6 loss in Orlando. Just 40 hours later, they played Friday night in Orlando, Sunday afternoon. That's not a lot of rest and recovery for a guy who's playing with clearly an injured left knee. They have to travel back from Orlando. Who knows how much rehab, how much recovery, how much rest he was able to actually get between those games. Comes out aggressive in the first quarter, shots not falling. But in the third quarter, Donovan Mitchell scored 17 points. By himself, Donovan Mitchell scored 17 points. The Orlando Magic, as a team, scored 15 points in the third quarter. Donovan by himself outscored the Magic in the third quarter. And it's ironic because the third quarter is what's given the Cavs their biggest issues all series. Jason Lloyd wrote an article, I think before Game 6. Yeah, it was after Game 5, before Game 6, about the Cavs' third quarter struggles. It happened all series. They had a 72.6 offensive rating in the third quarter through 5 games. That was the lowest NBA.com had ever tracked in a third quarter. And lo and behold, in Game 7, facing the utmost pressure, you're at home. You know what's at stake. Your season could be over if you don't come out and win and play better. And your head coach could be fired. And your roster could look completely different next year. With all that, the Cavs come out and played their best quarter of the entire series, led by their superstar, Donovan Mitchell, who transformed his game throughout this series based on his limitations physically. I want to talk about this specifically, then we'll get back to the game. Donovan at full health during the regular season is an acrobatic magician. The way he finishes, he absorbs contact. He's the aggressor on offense. He's going into the defense's body. He'll dunk on your head. He's done it multiple times. And you could see when he was coming back in March and he was struggling, he was trying to figure out what's the best way for me to score and still be efficient. Because Donovan takes a lot of shots, but for the most part, he's a pretty efficient scorer. He has been throughout his career. We saw specifically in games 5, 6, especially, and then tonight, he has adapted the way he was attacking the defense. He was still slithering into the open spaces, but instead of trying to explode vertically, he was relying on more finesse. Euro steps, floaters, his mid-range game, stuff that he always has. It had just been a back pocket move. Got brought to the forefront because he didn't have the vertical jumping explosion he typically does when healthy. And to watch Donovan, game in and game out, find different nuances in this Orlando defense to attack and different ways to score over their bigs. Reminder, Wendell Carter Jr. 6'11", Jonathan Isaac is 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan. Paolo Banchero in there, 6'9", 6'10". They got the Wagners who are both 6'10". His best bet was to play the finesse game, and he did it so masterfully. How many floaters in the last 2 games did he make? A dozen? Seriously. I don't know the exact number, but it's around there. The little Euro step, he slowed down his pace. And finish. Like it seems easy, and he made it look easy. But there is nothing easy about that. And he finished tonight. He had 50 in game 6. He finished tonight with 39 points. He had 15 at the half, which means he scored 24 in the second. He delivered a legitimate superstar performance in back-to-back games when the Cavs needed it most. It was a disappointment that in game 6, the rest of his team was unable to contribute what it needed to beat the Orlando Magic. Tonight, they did get enough contributions from some interesting guys. We're going to talk about everybody and how they played, but I wanted to specify and single out Donovan Mitchell because in a series, I would say 85% of the time, the best player in the series advances to the next round. His team wins. You could go across the first round series in this year's NBA playoffs. Go on the West. We'll start with the West. We'll go to the East. OKC versus New Orleans. SJ was the best player in the series. It wasn't close. They sweep. Jokic was the best player in the Nuggets-Lakers series. Who's moving on? Jokic. Anthony Edwards was the best player in the Suns-Timberwolves series. Timberwolves advance. Kyrie Irving was the best player in the Mavs-Clippers series. Mavs advance. Go to the East. First round, you could argue Boston had a bunch of different guys play well. I would actually argue Derek White played the best on Boston. They advanced. 2-7, Jalen Brunson, best player in the series. They move on. In the Milwaukee-Indiana series, Pascal Siakam was the best player in the series. How you can make the argument for him? I thought Siakam was even better. He's moving on. And tonight, and what Donovan did in the last 2 games, he edged out Paolo Banchero, the best player in the series, won all 8 first-round series. And you need your superstars to play their best in the biggest moments, and that's what Donovan Mitchell did throughout the course of this series in the last 2 games in particular. He had struggles early on. He didn't shoot the ball well. But when push came to shove, Donovan Mitchell showed up exactly how you need your superstars to show up in crunch time. When the Cavs needed a bucket, they looked his way. When his teammates needed a pick-me-up, they looked to Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland, who we'll talk about in a sec, when he hit that big 3 in the corner, he missed the first one. Isaac Okoro gets the offensive rebound, looks to Donovan. Donovan drives, kicks in the defense, and he immediately passes it back to Darius Garland in the corner, who hits the 3. Afterwards, I'm not sure if Bally's or ABC showed it, Donovan went right over to Darius and did their little handshake, and he's constantly picking everyone else up around him. He's a leader. He's a warrior. He was limping around. Every time he fell tonight, he made it a point to get back up like that. Refused to look like he was in pain whatsoever. He did not want Orlando for 1 second to think they had phased him. To show 1 ounce of weakness, he was dead set, locked in from the get-go, and ready to go. And on the biggest stage, when the lights were the absolute brightest, you remember the quote from Jarrett Allen last year, the lights were brighter than expected? Well, they weren't for Donovan Mitchell tonight, who delivered another classic 39-point performance, following up his 50-point performance in Game 6. 5 assists, only 1 turnover, and 9 rebounds. 15 of 17 from the free throw line. He didn't even shoot the ball great. Missed a couple shots he typically makes, but the way he was able to attack the Orlando defense, specifically in that third quarter, will go down as one of the all-time great Cavaliers playoff performances. I want to give this team credit, too. And then we'll talk about some of the other guys. We'll talk about Mobley. We'll talk about DG. Max Strus hit a couple threes in the third quarter that were huge. Defensively, Mobley is there. Offensively, he still needs some work. DG was up and down. Sam Merrill gave him minutes. Karis LeVert, who was horrific in the last 2 games, gave them some huge minutes. We'll talk about all that in 1 sec. But I want to give credit to this team and the mindset of this team. And I'm not quite sure if this starts with Donovan. I'm not quite sure if this is a representation of JB Bickerstaff and his staff. I don't know where it comes from. But the Cavs obviously got off to a horrific start. They scored 18 points in the first quarter, They were down 10 at the half. Could have rolled over. They couldn't buy a bucket. They didn't make a 3. They had more turnovers than field goals made 10 minutes into the game. 5 turnovers, 4 made field goals. They could have collapsed. They could have quit. They could have threw in the white towel. We saw it in Game 3. We don't want whatever, throwing the white flag. We saw it in the second half of Game 4. Orlando counterpunched. And the Cavs rolled out. Walked out. Fine, you can have it. Go. And tonight, they did the opposite. They came together. They found ways. They locked in defensively. Offensively, this team still doesn't have an identity to me. Their offense scored 106 points tonight. Guys made plays when it mattered most, but I still don't exactly understand the point of what they're trying to do on a lot of their offensive sets. But this team's identity is its defense. And in the third quarter, they held Orlando to 15 points. They held Orlando in that third quarter to 16% shooting from the floor. Yeah, Orlando missed some open shots. Don't get me wrong. They shot the ball poorly. The lights were too bright for them in the second half. But the Cavs defense deserves some credit for forcing them into shots they weren't comfortable taking. They contested a lot of Paolo's turnaround jump shots, and Paolo's awesome. And the Magic deserve a ton of credit, by the way. They made this series a hell of a series. And that's a young team on the rise that I would not want to play in the postseason in the coming years. They're going to get better and better and add more pieces and add more scoring. But they got nothing easy. Franz Wagner was 1 of 15 from the floor in this one. Jalen Suggs was 2 of 13. So your second and third best scorers combined to go 3 of 28 from the floor. Yeah, they missed some shots, but that's pretty damn good defense from your Cleveland Cavaliers. They fell back on what they did best, and that's defend the basket. They fell back and did what they do best, and that is make the other team make contested shots. In the fourth quarter, the clamps weren't on as much as they were in the third. Orlando still managed to score 26 points in the third, but in the second half, the Cavs outscored the Magic 63-41. 41 points. That's going back to their defensive performances in games 1 and games 2 at home. And give the crowd a lot of credit today, too, guys. The crowd was awesome. Start to finish. There were some boo birds that came out early, but as soon as Sam Merrill hit that first three, you could feel the energy. The crowd was waiting to erupt. It was begging the Cavs, make this close, we'll take you home. Put us in striking position, and we'll bring the rest of the energy you guys need to overcome the Orlando Magic. And the crowd did exactly that. It was a culmination of a lot of pieces. Caris LeVert off the bench today was sensational. He scored 1 point or 2 points, I forget what it was, in Game 6 tonight. In 30 minutes, 5 of 9 from the floor, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 points. The Cavs need about a 15-5-5 game from Caris LeVert to win in the playoffs, and he gave them exactly that tonight. He was aggressive. When he came in for his first stint, when the Cavs were really struggling to score the ball in the first quarter, he made it a point. Head down, I'm getting to the cup. And he made a layup, and then he got fouled. And when he's doing that, and he's playing alongside Donovan Mitchell and Sam Merrill, the defense collapses, and that opens shooting lanes for Sam Merrill, who I continue, and JB's not without fault here, guys. Do not get me wrong. Congrats on the win, but the fact that they did not unlock or try to unlock Sam Merrill earlier in the series, I just think is a misstep on their part. He has to play alongside Donovan Mitchell to be at his best, and tonight we saw the lineups with Merrill and LeVert. When Mitchell and LeVert are attacking, it creates spaces for Sam Merrill, who hit 2 threes. Merrill had 8 points in the first half, finished the game with 8, but he had 8 points in the first half, and they were crucial. Those 8 points helped claw the Cavs back into it in the first half when the game was getting further and further and further away from them. Those Merrill minutes were huge. They were huge, and for little spurts like that, Sam Merrill can give you the shooting, the spacing, and frankly, the pacing you need to attack a really good half-court defense. You got nothing tonight from Marcus Morris, Tristan Thompson, George Niang. They played. They didn't contribute a whole lot. That's why I told you after Game 5, Marcus Morris, he played great. You just don't know what you're going to get from him on a night-to-night basis. He's past that point of his career where you can be continually counted on, but they provided good leadership, some toughness. They were up and talking the entire game from the bench. Max Strus gave you a couple threes. I mean, it wasn't the performance you had hoped and dreamed and said you would have died for when you signed him that contract, but he hit 3 threes, 5 of 9 from the floor, 3 rebounds and an assist, 13 points. He was plus 10 on the night. How about Isaac Okoro, a team best plus 24? He doesn't score. And you're going to have to live with the fact that he's frustrating in nights where he looks like an all-star one night and then he looks unplayable the next. That's the Isaac Okoro experience. But what he does is brings the intangibles to the court that the Cleveland Cavaliers needed to win tonight's game. And that teams, not just Cleveland, but he brings the intangibles that teams need to win on the biggest stage. Yeah, we love him to shoot the ball more and shoot the ball at a more efficient clip and maybe be more of a playmaker, have a little more creativity offensively. That's not what he does. But what he does do is hustle his ass off on defense. Any 50-50 ball, I feel good about his chances of getting it over the other guy. And he made little plays time after time after time that helped the Cavs win. I go back to the play I mentioned earlier with the Darius Garland 3 in the corner. He misses the first one. And let me pull up. I made a note of this, so I want to make sure I got this right. It was at that point, it was a 8-point game with 6 minutes to play in the fourth. It was 85-77. DG misses the first look from the corner. He was wide open, misses it. And Isaac is there to get the offensive rebound. He out-battles Franz Wagner, who's bigger than Isaac Okoro by 5 inches, for the offensive rebound. Immediately looks for Donovan Mitchell, finds Donovan, who drives and kicks it back out to Darius for the bucket. Little plays like that is what Caris LeVert brings, and you need guys. He's a role guy. Caris, I think his ceiling is a very good role player. I don't think he'll ever be more than that. But you need role guys to win a championship, and you need role guys to win on the biggest stage, like a playoff series in a Game 7. And after him being a complete no-show in Game 6, for him to have the confidence to come back out in front of the home crowd, knowing what's at stake here, after last year's playoff failures, to come out and hit a couple shots, play the way he did defensively, hustle and make those little plays, you need that to win games, especially without Jarrett Allen. Those rebounds were even more crucial. And I stand by the fact the Cavs offensively are better with one big than they are with two bigs. We'll see what happens against Boston next series, who may be playing without Kristaps Porzingis. I don't think he's officially been ruled out for the entire series, but he's certainly not going to play in Game 1 or Game 2. So we'll see what JB Bickerstaff decides to do in terms of a physical matchup from that standpoint. We'll talk about it all week. But Mobley tonight, defensively, he's a monster. Like Evan Mobley on defense, I want nothing to do with challenging him at the rim if I was an opposing team. He blocks everything. He had 16 rebounds, 11 points. He had 5 blocks. He did turn the ball over 6 times. His offensive game is just such a work in progress. He, frankly, doesn't have an offensive game right now, if we're being completely honest. It doesn't exist. He catches lobs. He's got a couple moves he could pull out, but nothing you feel confident in. He tried to post up Cole Anthony once, which if you go back to Game 1, Cole Anthony was the guy, he had the post up after making those threes where he span and dunked on him. He tried to back him down. He got stonewalled, and you're like, what the hell? And then 2 plays later, he has a great post move over Wendell Carter Jr. Just inconsistent. But defensively, he is as good as it gets. And I actually think as good as he was tonight defensively, he's even better defensively when he's playing along another rim protector, and he can be that free safety type defensive player that it allows him to be next to Jarrett Allen. Offensively, that pairing doesn't work, in my opinion, to the capacity that it has to win at the highest level. Defensively, that pairing is dynamic. And tonight, without his running mate in Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley protected the paint in tremendous fashion. I'll go back to what I said. 5 blocks. He had 5 fouls. But those 5 blocks, and he altered so many more shots. Wendell Carter Jr. would get in the paint, and he'd pump fake, just waiting for Evan to make the first move, and his patience and his ability not to draw not to buy the fake. Why ESPN's all of a sudden playing ads here as I'm looking at the box score. Let me turn that off. Darius Garland. I mean, what can you say? 3 of 13, 1 of 4 from the floor. Made some free throws late, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 turnovers, 13 points. He was the only Cavs starter with a negative plus-minus. There are times during the game where he looks unplayable. There are times in the game where he looks like he's in full control. It's the inconsistency with him. But the fact he made that 3, the one I referenced a couple times now, in the corner, and the fact Donovan had the confidence to go back to him in that moment after he had missed shot after shot after shot. I like to see it. It's not enough. You need more from Darius Garland. Frankly, you need a lot more from Darius Garland. If they have any chance against Boston, we need the first 3 quarters of Game 6 Darius Garland, as opposed to what we've seen over the last 5 quarters from him and for the majority of this series. But he made a play when it mattered most. And he gets credit for that. He's not absolved because he was not good today. He played a porous game. And I do believe there were stretches where he was unplayable. And I think that's why LeVert got 30 minutes tonight. I mean, I think, let me look at the box score. I think LeVert played more minutes than Darius. They both played 30 minutes, and that doesn't typically happen. So JB agreed with the assessment that for stretches of the game, DG was just not playing at the level the Cavs needed him to play at. He's a max player. He has to be better. but he made a big shot late. And you could afford to have off nights from other guys when you get special performances like you got today from Donovan Mitchell. And it all comes back to Donovan. We said it before the series. We'll say it again. If they lose to Boston, it's going to fall on Donovan. It's not right. It's not fair. It's just how it is. Had the Cavs lost today, it would have fallen on Donovan's shoulders. In the big picture, obviously, wouldn't be blaming Donovan for the loss like right afterwards. It'd be other guys. Donovan played out of his freaking mind. But the best player always gets blamed for the loss. It's the head coach and the best player. LeBron's not the reason the Lakers lost to the Nuggets. It was D'Angelo Russell and Rory Hachimura not helping, and Taurean Prince and all the role players not stepping up. But who do we say? It's his fault they lost. It falls on LeBron. So this would have fallen on Donovan Mitchell. But he played tonight at a level that was so impressive. He was able to carry subpar offensive performances from two of their three best players. Think about this. The Cavs scored 106 points tonight. They ended up getting a combined 23 from Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. But entering the fourth quarter, those two had combined for 6. So Mobley and Garland scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 6 total in the first 3. The Cavs found a little something that worked when they tried to push the pace. And JB Bickerstaff on the sideline was constantly telling his guys, go, 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 go. You could see it after every made bucket from Orlando. Push, 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 push. He wanted his guys to run. He wanted his guys to try and create chaos. And they did it to an extent. And I'd like to see them do it even more and more frequently against Boston heading into the next series. But this was a hell of a Game 7 win, guys. I mentioned it before. Down 18 in the second quarter. Game 7. They knew it was on the line. Listen. They're humans too. And they hear, I don't want to say they hear everything, but they're not stupid. And they understand the ramifications of what was on the line here. And we saw this same team with mostly the same pieces crumble under the lights last season. We saw them crumble under the pressure. It was Game 5. It wasn't Game 7. But the Cavs never had an answer for the Knicks. And tonight, down 18, to win by 12 is an incredible turn of events. That's a 30-point swing the Cavs made from midway through the second quarter to the end of the game. So over the final 30 minutes of the game, the Cavs outscored Orlando by 30. That's an ass whooping in the second half and really the last 30 minutes. I'm not quite sure why the Cavs couldn't have played with that intensity to start. And they've started a few games in this series way too slow now and dug themselves in holes that they've struggled to come out of. And that has to be addressed moving forward. They have to fix and tweak some of these rotations. I want to see more from Sam Merrill. I'm curious what happens when Jarrett Allen comes back. One thing on Jarrett Allen, by the way, the injury actually happened in Game 1. He got re-aggravated in Game 4. I don't think the Cavs are doing him any favors with how they've described this injury. They're calling it a bruised rib. It's more of a pierced rib. They're worried it could break. I was told he's struggling to breathe. Like it hurts to breathe, and they're worried about a potential break if he plays. It's not fair to call that dude soft. It's not. Like Jarrett Allen played 81 straight games throughout the regular season and the postseason up until he missed Game 5. 81 straight. Think of all the load management. Think of all the people who have missed games with a sore toe or for whatever reason. Jarrett Allen isn't one of them. And I'm telling you, if he could play, he would have been out there. But if he's struggling to breathe and it hurts to breathe, I'm not quite sure what level of cardio he could have if he can't breathe sitting on the bench normally, rather less running up and down a court in a physical contest. I think he would have done more bad than good for the Cavs had he been on the court. But I'm not going to be out here questioning that guy's toughness. That guy's proven time after time. He may not be the most physically strong dude in the world, but I'm not questioning his toughness off that. The rib injury, they've done him dirty and how they described it. It actually happened in Game 1, got re-aggravated in Game 4, and he's been struggling to breathe. Tough for him to be out there and contribute, but they didn't need him tonight. Well, they did need him, excuse me. But they were able to overcome not having him to still beat the Orlando Magic. They got a superstar performance from Donovan Mitchell. They got just enough from everybody else. And I mean just enough. And I want to make something very clear. What they got from the rest of their players, not named Donovan Mitchell tonight, is not acceptable enough to beat some really good basketball teams moving forward. It was enough to beat the Orlando Magic when their second and third best scorers combined to go 3 for 28 from the floor. It was enough to beat them today. But it's not going to be enough to consistently beat the Celtics, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Thunders of the world if you're not getting more contributions from guys like Strus and Mobley and Garland and Allen, who obviously didn't play tonight, and LeVert has to play at this same level. But we'll worry about that another day because today is Cinco de Mayo. The Cavs won a Game 7 at home in heroic fashion. And I want to use the word heroic very carefully because it wasn't a great team performance, but it was gutsy and gritty as hell. And they were down 18. And I was pretty sure this team was just going to throw in the white flag and say 1, 2, 3, see you in Cancun. But they didn't. They didn't. And that was awesome to see. And to see the way they clawed back. And to see the way they found ways to get stops. They found ways to make buckets. They found shots when they needed it. I don't think they had a 3 in the first quarter. They only shot 16 threes, which I still think is an unacceptable number. 6 of 16 from the three-point line. That's just not enough to beat these good teams. But it was enough today, and that's all that matters. The Cavs found a way to win. 23 free throws was an impressive mark. They had 37 rebounds. They won the rebounding battle without Jarrett Allen. They had 13 assists. No one had more than 4. Darius Garland had 1. Like, it wasn't a great team performance, but it was enough. And the Cavs are playing meaningful basketball as we reach middle of May. They got the Boston Celtics up next. It's going to be a hell of a series. The Cavs, if you remember, beat Boston in Cleveland a couple months ago when Dean Wade scored 22 points in the fourth quarter to single-handedly erase a 20-point second-half deficit. They played earlier in the season. Boston got them. That's the team that broke Darius Garland's jaw. That was in Boston in December. This is a team the Cavs last year during the regular season beat twice. For whatever reason, the Cavs really match up pretty well against the Boston Celtics, who may be playing without Kristaps Porzingis in the next round. It's going to be tough, but it's doable. It's not impossible. We've seen weirder things happen, especially if Porzingis isn't playing. But the Cavs found a way today. They found a way. And how many times down the stretch of the season did we look around and ask ourselves, what the F is wrong with this team? And why can't they ever make the play when it matters most in the big-time moments? Did they have a legit second option to close outside of Donovan? What if teams never... here's another thing, by the way. I forgot I wanted to mention this. Why the hell didn't Orlando ever try to double Donovan early and get the ball out of his hands? Like, he was the only one doing stuff for large stretches of the game, and I don't understand. And Jamal Mosley coached a good series, I thought, and Orlando's defense was pretty good for the most part. But they never tried to double Donovan. They never tried to switch up their looks at him. They just let him go one-on-one. And they switched coverages in the pick and roll. But I would have blitzed him, got the ball out of his hands, and made someone else beat you because they were stretches where he was sharing the ball with Darius Garland. And at that point, yeah, you would have begged Darius to be the one trying to make these shots. Or Karis LeVert, I know he made a couple shots today. But they never did that. And I think that's a misstep on Jamal Mosley and the Orlando Magic, who deserve a lot of credit. I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again. It's a really, really physical, really talented, young team, up and coming. They're well coached, and they're going to be a threat in the Eastern Conference for the foreseeable future. The Cavs picked this matchup. Don't forget what happened in the last day of the regular season. The Cavs picked this matchup, and Orlando gave them everything, and I mean everything they could handle. But when push came to shove, and then I'll read some comments to wrap this up, but when push came to shove, the difference was the Cavs had Donovan Mitchell, and the Orlando Magic did not. This didn't come down to coaching. It really didn't come down to the role players. It came down to your superstars. Donovan Mitchell with 39 points was the best player on the court. Paolo Banchero had 38. He had 38. At the end of the third quarter, he had 28. But Franz Wagner, who had a pretty good series, was 1 of 15. And Jalen Suggs was 2 of 13 from the floor. And when those two guys, who Orlando desperately needs to score, combined to go 3 of 28, they ain't beating anybody. So kudos to the Cavs. Kudos to the JB Bickerstaff coaching staff for finding a way to keep this team together. Whether it's anything they did or the players, who the hell knows? They all deserve credit. And we got a Celtics series coming up We got a game on my birthday, I think. I'm excited that the Cavs for at least another 4 games, and hopefully many, many more, are going to continue to play meaningful basketball into the month of May. Let's get some viewers. We got over 1,000 people in here, by the way. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. All right. I got to scroll away. There's like 600 comments. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. This is always tough when we get the super chats out the way first. JJ says, we want Boston. Well, you got Boston, JJ. Soul Trade says, if KP is out for Boston, they need to attack. Yeah, if KP's not playing, and I'm not exactly sure what his status he's not playing the first couple games. He may or may not be healthy for the last couple of games. We'll see. I have no idea what his status is, but if he's out, that is Boston's weakness. Is you can get to the rim and you can try and challenge Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser and Xavier Tillman. They don't have a true shot blocking presence without Kristaps Porzingis. And tonight the Cavs, like I mentioned, only made 6 threes. They were aggressive. They made and they put pressure on Orlando to contest their shots at the rim. The refs let a lot go tonight. They were very physical again on both ends of the court. But without Porzingis, that is the plan of attack. You have to. Bam Bam Bigelow says that was a tale of 2 halves. Absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy. It was two completely different games. They were down 10 at the end of the first half and won by 12. So it's a good way to put it. A tale of 2 halves. Larry Loveface says, I turned it off in the first half. I wonder what happened and how Mobley grew some balls so suddenly. It was the whole team. It was the whole team that grew some balls. They found a way. When it mattered most to get the job done. And they deserve credit for that. And it wasn't perfect. Like they didn't play a great game. Once again, they didn't play a great game, but they did enough. All right. Let's see. By the way, I biked to the game today, and I rode my bike home as soon as the game ended, so I could beat the traffic. I got to be doing this more often. That was significantly faster getting home than it was driving. 3 Rice great says, proud of the boys. Mitchell willed us to victory. Yeah, he was incredible. Seriously, between games 6 and 7, Donovan was everything you could have hoped and dreamed for in a superstar player. Eric says, I just hope us winning this game doesn't make us do something stupid and keep JB as head coach. No decision we made till after the season. If they beat Boston, we'll see what happens. If they lose, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it is. There are going to be a lot of JB conversations in the future. Do not worry. I see people hashtagging extend JB, followed exactly by fire JB. So that is exactly where we are at with with the JB Bickerstaff situation moving forward. The Robert Beal says, I take back nothing I said on Twitter. Glad they won, but damn, we need that type of urgency we saw in the 3rd and 4th from the beginning. Listen, that's a fair and valid criticism. Why did they not come out with more? I don't want to say it wasn't a lack of urgency. They just were lackadaisical and they were sloppy. Like in a game 7, why so sloppy? Now, if you want to say it's nerves, and as they calmed their nerves down, they were able to play more efficiently. Maybe that's the case, but you have to be locked in from the get-go, and I didn't think the Cavs were that locked in early. So that was, and that's part of why I thought it was such an impressive turnaround. Let's see. Plasma Void says, Cavs in 4, screw the Celtics. Skinner All-Star says, yeah, quick turnaround. It is, yeah, it's Tuesday, Thursday are the first 2 games, which means the Cavs have one night off, and they're back while the Celtics had a few days to rest. Hey, can we be circle of truth for 1 sec, guys? Donovan was great in game 6. He was great today. I am a little nervous with this quick turnaround in every game this series. To my knowledge, I believe, don't quote me, I'm 99% sure on this, is game off. Like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, and then if it keeps going, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I'm worried that Donovan and his knee That's not a lot of recovery time. And if they're asking him to carry this much of the load offensively, at some point, he's not LeBron. Like, at some point, I'm just worried that he's going to run out of gas. I hope I'm wrong, but I am a little worried about that. Let's see. Bonnie says, congrats, Cavs. You didn't give up. Yeah, they were resilient. XB, love from Spain. Go Cavs. Let them know. Hey, from Spain, how about that? Where are you guys? Where's everyone watching from today? Put it in the comments at the end. I like knowing where you guys are actually tuning in and watching from. Spain, that's pretty cool. Anthony says, boss, I'm calling off tomorrow. I have chest pains from this game. No, I need you tomorrow, man. We need you. Bass player 1966. I appreciate that. No days off. Right, hit the like button. The Cavs just won a damn game 7. Smash the like button if you're not a subscriber. Become a subscriber. It'll help make UCSS the most popular and best show out there. We had over 1,000 people on the post-game show. I don't know what Bull had. If anyone watched Bull's post-game show, let me know what he had, but I can guarantee you it wasn't 1,000. That's because you guys know where to come for Cavs content. The one manager says we need to go with Mitchell, LeVert, backcourt, bring Garland off the bench. The thing with LeVert is you saw how good he was tonight, and you saw how bad he was in Game 6. And you don't know which version of LeVert you're going to get till he's actually in the game. And if you knew you were getting this LeVert every time, then I would say, okay, maybe. But you don't, and you can't have bad LeVert next to him. But LeVert's going to have to play well for the Cavs to beat Boston. And I'm not talking like 10-3-3 like a tonight game, 15-5-5-ish to beat Boston. You need LeVert. All right, let's see. You guys not very high on the not on the opportunity to play Boston. Hopefully you guys are wrong. I don't necessarily disagree with you guys, but hopefully you guys are wrong. What's this tweet? The Guardians are calling up Kyle Manzardo. Big news for the Guardians. It'll be fun to watch him make his MLB debut this week. Let's see. Redheaded Stepchild says, great defense, showed a lot of heart. BTS be the standard says, I still hear Mobley's rejections bouncing off the rafters. His defense was incredible today. He's always good defensively. Today, I thought it was his best defensive game of the season. He's really, really good, guys. From a defensive standpoint, his offensive game needs a lot of work. It needs a ton of work. Like, he's nowhere near the player the Cavs need him to be offensively to compete with the best teams in basketball. But defensively, he is really, really, really good. Phil Bowman says Orlando's defense is harder to score on. Boston is a much better scorers, which is true. Yeah, I mean, outside of Banchero, Orlando didn't really have anyone you were afraid of killing you offensively. Franz Wagner had moments throughout the series, but on a night-to-night basis, you weren't particularly worried about him. Boston has Tatum, Brown, Derek White, who went crazy in the last 2 games. Drew Holiday's a veteran playoff guy with experience. They have at least 2.5 guys you trust more than you trust anyone on Orlando to score outside of Paolo Banchero. Big difference. Bam Bam says Tuesday, 7 p.m. on TNT is game 1, which is I know it's Tuesday. Hopefully it's 7 o'clock, which is the best time for a tip-off, in my opinion. We'll also be live on Tuesday night right after the game. It's a road game, so we'll go right on. We will go right on after the show or after the game ends. So make sure you guys tune back in here for that. I will always put these comments up. Smash the like button. I appreciate that. Soul Train, when will Dean Wade return? That's a good question. They ruled him out for this series. He's another guy. Cavs needed him in this series. They didn't have him. He obviously had the monster game in the fourth quarter against Boston when they played in the regular season. He gives them size on the wing to defend some of their bigger wings. I don't know. It'll be asked in their first practice tomorrow, but I don't know what his timeline is, to be honest with you. Marshall says Cavs are you serious, Marshall? It's that big of a odds? Minus 1,600? Someone said, where's G at? Tony. G. Bush said he turned the game off in the first quarter and didn't watch the rest. So I'm not sure if he knows who won yet. No and G. I'm not sure if he knows who won yet. Let's see. Larry Danielson said some jobs were saved today. For now. Basketball is a game-by-game situation, and you can't overreact. I said this after game 5. Like, games 3 and 4 were terrible. They come back, win game 5. It's the ebbs and flows. You see trends, but you can't have your big overreaction, good or bad, till the series is officially over. Shout out to Earl, who was at the game with me tonight. Earl stuck around for post-game, so he's going to get the post-game stuff. I wanted to get back here and make sure I was able to hop on for you guys. So shout out to Earl for taking that off my plate. He also said Spider's a dog. Puts more respect on his name. The guts and grit refusal to lose was felt immensely. 89 combined points in our last 2 games. I'm telling you guys, special player. Can he be a true number 1 on a championship team? That's still to be determined. They won 1 playoff series. They got to be Boston. But he's a hell of a player, and these 2 performances, the last 2 games, were both incredible. Let's see. Sometimes I can't tell if you have a comment from me or if you guys are arguing with each other, so I apologize. Chris says, do you think the Cavs should have won easier? No, listen, Game 7 is Game 7. It's always going to be a battle. And best parts about Game 7 are you never know who's going to show up, who's ready for the pressure, and who's not going to crumble. And it was disappointing to see the Cavs come out as slowly and as sloppily as they did to start this game. But they found their footing, and they came back. And once they threw the counter punch this time, Orlando crumbled. This was the reverse of Game 4. It really was, where in Game 4, the Cavs led by 9 at half. And then the third quarter was a catastrophe. And the Magic ran away with it in the fourth. This was just a flip of Game 4. Cavs were on the right side this time. Let's see. Some of y'all really don't like JB Bickerstaff. And I'm not going to read that one because it was funny, though. I laughed. Anthony, what was the history they made with this comeback? Is that the biggest Game 7 comeback? I'm not sure. If it is, let me know. Anthony says biggest Game 7 comeback in NBA history. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That is awesome. Shout out to the Cavs. Also, yes, I am a Taurus. Let's see. A couple more. We're going on 45 minutes here. Black Play Game says Boston has no answer for Jalen. He's a Knicks fan, I'm pretty sure. He's talking about Jalen Brunson. Let's see. We got how long does I spend on my hair? Yo, my hair's a mess. I spend no time. Seriously, it's a joke. It's a giant haircut. Eugene's Washington, Michigan. BTS in San Antonio. We got Parma Heights at Michael Florenke. Hamburg, Germany. Shout out to Germany. Believe the finer print. Israel in the house. Northern Kentucky. Columbus, South Carolina. I love hearing this. Creative Juice in Slavic Village. We got, Austin, coincidentally in Orlando. We got Colorado in the house. Lakewood, Florida. Downtown Cleveland, Los Angeles. I made the run. I just got shared. I didn't share it with you yet. Hey, I'll do that right now, actually. I can do this live on air. I'm about to share the rundown with Earl. Hold on. Earl, you got the rundown. I just shared it with you. Sorry. My bad. Los Angeles, Shreveport, Jacksonville, PA, Avon, Australia. We got like 4 countries in here. Shout out that. Washington, D.C., downtown. I appreciate that. Yeah, Bull had way less. We know Bull had way less because y'all know where to come for Cavs content. We love Bull, but come on. Louisville, London, Kentucky. All right, one more. We're going to wrap it up. Yeah, Mobley, 16 rebounds, 5 blocks. He had a good defensive game. He just needs to be better offensively. Thomas says, let him know from Ireland. Shout out to Ireland. We are international today, guys. International. I'll wrap with this. There's still 300 comments. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I appreciate you guys all. Seriously, I appreciate you guys all. The Cavs are down 18. They win by 12. According to the chat, who I'm going to trust, I'm choosing to trust because I love you guys. That is the biggest Game 7 comeback in NBA history. That's not a coincidence. That's great leadership from Donovan Mitchell. And that's a heroic superstar performance. It is a total team defensive effort. You got just enough shot making from your ancillary players to keep Orlando at bay. And when push came to shove, the Cavs got stops and scores when they needed it most. They need to play better to beat Boston. And then whoever they play in the next round, whether that be Indiana or New York, if they get past Boston. However, we'll worry about that later. Today is Cinco de Mayo, and the Cavs just won Game 7 in historic fashion. Enjoy it. There's no way you can be upset about today's performance. A Game 7 win is a Game 7 win, and you only get so many of those in your lifetime. Celebrate. Enjoy it. And we will see y'all tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll see you on Tuesday for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll see you at Tuesday night for the first post-game of the Boston Celtics Cleveland Cavaliers Eastern Conference semifinals. And then we'll see you Wednesday again, Jason and myself, for the Ultimate Cavs Show, recapping Game 1. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. The Cavs won Game 7 in heroic, historic fashion. Enjoy. For now, I'm McNuggets. I'll see y'all later. Peace.